Hi, my name is Falvey. I'm an expedition leader and an adventure consultant on high altitude mountaineering all around the world. Now what I'd like to do today is I'd like to welcome you to our webinar on climbing Kilimanjaro, the highest freestanding mountain in the world. Now I have climbed myself on Kilimanjaro over 40 times to date, and for me it's one of my most favourite climbs in the world. My company, Irish and Worldwide Adventures Limited, have facilitated now over 1,500 people to reach the summit. We have a 98% success rate in climbing it, many times 100%, which makes us one of the world's leading high altitude providers on climbing Kilimanjaro. In this presentation, what I do want to do is I want to bring you on a journey that will give you a better idea of the challenge that's involved, as I will take you on a step-by-step journey to its summit. Now, our journey will take you through a lot of different information. There's the mountain, the trek, the visa. I'll also talk about altitude and the effects on your health, and we will have other webinars available as well. I'll talk about the support, the guides in our office, the fitness that you'll require, the gear and packing, and then I'll talk a little bit about the culture, if you want to go on a safari, and a little bit of relaxation. Well, Kilimanjaro is a trekking adventure. Its altitude is 5,895 meters, or for feet 19,340 feet. Its world ranking is it's one of the 7 summits. That means it is a continental high point and there are 7 continents. The duration of our adventure on Kilimanjaro is going to be 11 days, including travel and acclimatization. The route we will describe today is the Mashami route. It's a 7-day climb on the mountain. But just to let you know that we do all the other routes as well, and the information on this route is very similar if you want to decide to do one of the other routes. The grade on trekking it is moderate to strenuous. That means we have about 6 hours trekking each day, while the summit day is between 12 and 16 hours. The fitness that you will require is moderate to strenuous. We will provide a training schedule for you. Technicality, you don't need any. And the dates that we go and climb Kilimanjaro is every month of the year. Kilimanjaro itself is situated in East Africa. Now for me, Kilimanjaro, it's absolutely beautiful. It is a mountain that most fit people can attempt to summit. Kilimanjaro as well, as you know, is an iconic, in relation to where it stands. It has 5 different ecosystems, of which I will talk later. And as I said, it is the highest freestanding mountain in the world. So to climb it, you become a member of one of very few people in the world to have climbed to the summit of a continental high point in Africa, and also you are probably a witness to the final phase of the melting of its glacier. Now during this presentation, I want you to visualize yourself climbing the mountain, to look closely at the gear and the type of weather that we will possibly encounter. Now let your spirit run free as we climb one of the most iconic mountains in the world. This presentation will give you the benchmark of your ability to reach the summit. And remember this, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So can you please now sit back, relax, become an armchair traveller with me, and no matter where you are, whether it's sitting at home, at your computer, in your office, or out with a few friends, having a few drinks, and you're looking at this presentation. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start and let me introduce you to a short trailer, a video on Kilimanjaro. It'll give you some sort of an idea. And we have also some more great informative videos, in our stock. If it's a case that you like what you're seeing here and you want to contact us for more, please do. So just take a look at this short video. Welcome back to the webinar, and I hope that you enjoyed that short video and that it puts you in the form to come with me now on a journey to Africa. Well, all great journeys begin with a dream, a goal, an aspiration. And most that are looking at this now, this is their Mount Everest. And what I want to do is to put you at ease with it. I will now bring you chronologically on a journey from the beginning of when we're going to leave Ireland, England or America. This webinar will only give you a snapshot view of the expedition, the people, the weather and indeed the climb. But hopefully it will whet your appetite for you to take on the challenge. Now I'm just going to go through a typical journey to the summit of Kilimanjaro and give you an insight into that journey. As I said a while ago, we do all routes, but I'm specifically, because I can't go through every route, because it would take too long, but the typical one I'm going to bring you on is on the Mashami route. But please note that all of the aspects on this route is the same for all other routes. Now most journeys, what we like to do, it depends on whether we're meeting you down there or whether we're meeting you at a specific airport. If it's a case that you've joined onto one of our group organised departures, then we will all meet at the airport. And I love it, because a lot of the times what happens is the families come out, we all meet up, everyone is in great form, and it really gives that expedition feel to it. But if it's a case you wish to meet us in Tanzania, we will organise to have you picked up and brought to the hotel to meet with the rest of the group. Well, our journey, will usually start in Ireland or London for the group side of it. And it takes us, then right over Europe through France, Italy, and down the east coast of Africa, like over Egypt, the Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, and into Tanzania. Now, as I said, for those of you wishing to join us in Tanzania, no problem. My team will bring you to our hotel base in Moshi. Now, what I want to do is go through on arrival and just give you a feeling for the type of temperatures and what's going to happen once you arrive at the airport. Usually it'll be day 2 that we arrive at Kilimanjaro International Airport. The temperature will usually be between 20 degrees and 35 degrees, which it can be fairly hot. So it's just to be aware of that. Now, lots of questions that have come in is about visa. Now, I'm going to go through the information on visas because it is important. Number 1, your passport has to be within 6 months, before it expires for you to get into the country. The bureaucracy, is quite phenomenal in African and Asian countries. Now, as we go in, they will always ask for your injection card, mainly because if you're coming in from a yellow fever country. Now, if we're passing through Ethiopia, we're only in transit, so we don't need yellow fever. And what I will say about injections, everybody, because I can't give specific information in relation to injections on a webinar because I'm not a doctor, but if it's a case you ring me, I will tell you what I have and what I get. But what we suggest is you go to your doctor, have a chat, and they in turn will tell you all the up-to-date information in relation to injections to get into the country. Now, lots of people have questioned me before this webinar and others about Ebola. Ebola now is actually gone, so therefore, and it was never a real threat in Tanzania. The biggest threat we will have is the fact of mosquitoes, so therefore malaria tablets are a must if we're heading in here. And it's just to have an injection card so they will see that you have an injection card got. Once we get to the airport and we're going to go through customs, we don't need, for most countries, whether it's in Europe or America, entry visas before we go. We can get it on the fly when we're in the terminal building. It usually will cost between $50 and $100, depending on what nationality you are. Now, what I like to do is, we are in Africa, so once we arrive at the airport, we will try to collect our bags. And I just want to talk a little bit about gear and a little bit about preparation that we need to do before we go. I suggest everybody, and we will be talking about this to you, in the planning stage of going, that we bring at least a day to 2 days worth of gear with us in the plane in our day bag. Now, it's very simple when we talk about gear. It's just to have our boots and some rain gear, because we will be going through the rainforest, just in case that, you know, some of the bags will go astray, you know, and onto another plane. We are in Africa, so we prepare for being in Africa, and sometimes, you know, bags can get lost. Now, from our own point of view, we do have a lot of gear in Africa, but if everyone's gear went lost, then we would have a big problem. So please note that when we're going on the expedition, to bring in your day bag, you know, some rain gear, enough clothes for a day or two on the mountain, which mainly will be, you know, the typical type clothes you would go climbing with, whether you're in England or in Ireland doing hill walking, in particular winter mountaineering, hill walking, and a good pair of trekking boots, just to have them with you. Well, once we exit the airport, we will be collected by my staff, and we usually load all our gear into a bus. I'll be talking a little bit about packing the gear in a minute. All the bags are packed in the bus, and it takes approximately 1 hour to go from the airport to Moshi, which is, by the way, the climbing capital of Tanzania, and it will be our base for starting climbing. Now, Moshi is a fantastic town, fantastic city really, and it's very vibrant, it's very colourful. We will get a chance to go to the markets to see the people, and it's also where our hotel will be based, just on the outside of Moshi itself. But one of the most spectacular things about being in Moshi is that if we do get a chance to see Kilimanjaro before we go, it's absolutely amazing. Like you just awestruck, because the mountain actually protrudes like a rocket into the sky, and it's, you know, sometimes you can see it above the clouds. As we either look out from our hotel, there's very, very good views from our hotel, or indeed from Moshi itself. So usually that gets the heart and the cockles of the heart warmed, you know, for the climb ahead. Now, on arrival, we will book into our hotel, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about hotels because it is very, very important. Number one, to have a secure hotel. Number two is the hygiene is very, very important, because if we go down to Africa and you pick up a bug or get diarrhea or anything like that, it can jeopardize your whole expedition. So we're very, very cautious about the type of hotels that we pick, about the cleanliness of them. Now, I've been using the same hotel for the last 15 years, and all the staff have got to know the Irish personalities very, very well, and they know the requirements that I require to ensure that everybody, you know, goes to the mountain healthy. Most importantly for me is that the hotel is secure, that it's clean, that the staff are friendly, and that hygiene is of a standard which is high, and as I said, which is most important to the likes of myself, because we just don't want anything to happen. And, you know, the hotel we use is absolutely great. The staff is fantastic. Now that we're in Africa, the expedition has really begun. And one of the most important aspects of an expedition is the planning, and also of the visualization, that people can know what they're about to attempt, because through visualization, it gives you a better idea of what's ahead of you. And my main objective in doing this is that it dispels, you know, all fears that you will have. And from the time you sign on to our expedition, you will find, like whether it's with our staff or whether in the training, that this is what it's all about. It's about dispelling the fears that you could have. So once we arrive now in Africa, on the first day, just after lunch, if it's at 12 o'clock we arrive, we do a briefing before we leave for the mountain. As I said, the expedition is really underway. So we go through everything from food to acclimatization to gear and how we are going to succeed, you know, on the mountain itself. Because now that we're all a team together, it's great to get that synergy, that everyone is moving in the right direction. You will meet my head Sidar, who is Freddy Turimo, and basically he is my chief guide and has been my Sidar since 1996 when we met first. He is one of the top expedition guides and leaders on the mountain, with over 415 times to its summit. He's very, very experienced, and again, one of the top experts in altitude, you know, in the world on climbing Kilimanjaro. We will also go through hygiene and food, because no matter what your food requirements are, we need to know, because an army marches on its stomach. And what we do is we go through everything. This is James and Abel, who have been with me for about 15 years. James started as a porter and progressed to being Abel's assistant, and now is one of our head cooks. All of our cooks, by the way, because food is very important, is of a Western cuisine, so that it will cope with our stomach. And all of my chefs have been trained into hygiene and what it takes to cook food. Now, at this meeting as well, which is very, very important, but we will also have gone through this before you go away, we will have a full briefing on acclimatization and how we will be dealing with it on the mountain. We go through hydration, which is very, very important. We go through eating, what you're going to eat, the energy required, but most importantly, the psychology and the altitude related problems that you may have. We will discuss the likes of Diamox, ginkgo, whether you use a placebo. But one of the things that's most important, because it is a great concern to a lot of people that go out here, it's about altitude. Now, I have a full video on altitude, which I would like you to take a look at to ensure that you know everything that's happening to your body. In other words, our heart and our lungs have to expand in size. One of the most important things is that we go slow. But over the period of time that you are discussing this with us, we will have you fully au fait with all aspects of altitude, and in other words, what you need to do or what you need to bring if you wish to do it, whether you want to use something as a prophylactic or whether you want to use something in the event of emergency. We also go through the route on the mountain, and this is whether it's the Mashami route or the Marango route or any of the routes. But what you're now looking at is the Mashami route, and as you can see, this is a circular route that we go up one section of the mountain to the right, and as we come across the yellow line at the bottom of the picture here, and we head for the Mashami gate, and then we actually take off, we head around and we come back via the Milwaukee. Also, I know it's a lot of your first time maybe going camping, or you haven't been camping for a long time. So for me, the gear that we use is very important. We used top quality mountaineering equipment, and here you can see the type of tents that we do have. This is just a briefing. We have very good mattresses. If you wish to bring other types of mattresses, like Thermarest, you can bring those to supplement the comforts of what you will have to make it more comfortable for you. Also, as you see, the tents are very spacious. This is a 2-person tent, but literally you could fit the whole group in it. And what we believe, it's about relaxation, being comfortable, being able to sleep. And I will talk a little bit about the gear later, but more importantly, I will have a video for you in relation to the gear that you require, because what you will see as we're climbing the mountain, the different type of gear that you will require. Now, finally, on the day that we're there, we will do a final checkout on all personal gear, because one of the most important aspects of getting onto the mountain, if you have the gear wrong, then you will find that, the slightest thing that, if it's cold or and you don't have the gear, then there's a possibility you will fail on the mountain. So my guides and I will go through all your gear, make sure that you have everything. If you don't, we will try to supplement it with the stocks that we have. But planning, and again, it's back to planning, and we will do this here with you before you go, that we go through to ensure that you have everything. One of the other aspects as well that's most important is, now that you know you're on the mountain and your family knows you're on the mountain, we probably have one of the best, facilities for communication, outside in Africa. Now, most people that will be in contact with the office will first and foremost go through the likes of Abina, our general manager, and then after that we will have our group team leaders. If it's a case you're coming trekking, which you will see here in the centre, and if there is training requirements, it's going to be either by myself, Tony Nation, who's our training director, John Higgs, or Pembagelji Sherpa, who may be guiding some of the expeditions in Africa, as well as myself, as well as some of our other guides. Now, so therefore you will be in communication with our office here in Ireland, Our office in Ireland will be in communication with our office in Mushy, and our office in Mushy will be in communication with us on the mountain. And as you can see, these are some of my head guides here. So now all preparation is complete. From the hotel point of view, we're after landing, we're ready to go. All the team are getting ready to get started. But just to let you know the logistics, that's now going to be involved. We will go to bed on the second night we're here. We will then get up early in the morning, probably about 6:30. At this stage, all the gear is checked. And now what we're ready to go on the mountain. Usually this is day 3 and we have our breakfast. One of the most important things is that all the bags are weighed. Now I usually recommend, as you can see here, duffel bags. And the main reason for duffel bags, the porters are able to carry the duffel bags easier. And for ourselves, like when we get to our tent at night, we just need to zip down the zip and we can get our gear easily out of it and it'll pack easy. Again, on my packing videos, you will see the best way to pack and the fastest way to pack in relation to this. The expedition, as you can now see, is about to begin, and a dream is about to be made a reality. And as you can see in the faces here, everybody, no matter how many times I've done this, everyone is in great form. They just want to get going. Now, as part of our corporate social responsibility, we ensure that all porters do not carry any more gear than 15 kgs of our bags. So therefore every single bag is weighed. Now you should be able to fit all of your gear, outside the fact that you might put a kitchen sink in one bag. But if it's a case you need more, well then what I would suggest that you do is you bring a second bag and we'll distribute any other weight. But here we can see 15 kilos is the weight that we do not try to exceed on the bag itself. Now at this stage, and this is very exciting, our bus comes, all the gear is loaded on. At this stage we're ready now to head for the mountain now, and it's about an hour journey that we'll be traveling. Here now we have our main guides and our main cooks that we pick up en route, and it's going to take a little bit of a while to get started today, because this is the hardest day, because we will have to move all of our team together on the mountain. But our journey now takes us on a 1 hour journey, from our hotel in Moshi to the Mashami village, which is, if you look at it, you will see here along the blue line that this is the journey that we will take, and we will then arrive at Mashami. Now on the way, and you can see everybody packs into the bus, the cooks, the kitchen staff, and our guides, the backbone, which are the unsung heroes of most of our successes. You will get to know these now like a family over the next while on the mountain. But where we're going now is we're going to push through the coffee and banana plantations, which is our first ecosystem of which we will be traveling over. And you will experience as you're going like a living community of the Chaga and some of the Bantu people as we make our way from Moshi to the village itself, the Mashami village, and up to the Mashami gate. Now en route we'll collect a lot of our fresh provisions. Now I'm a firm believer to have as much fresh food on the mountain as possible, as we try to ensure that, as I say, it's important to be able to eat properly to have the energy to go. It's like a steam train really. You're like the steam train. Unless you're fed, you don't keep going. And usually every day we will have three different courses. We'll have breakfast, lunch and dinner, and you will have an array of food, and I'll go through some of that now with you later, and I'll fill you in on it. Now if you have any special dietary requirements, in other words, if you're vegan, diabetic, anything like that, we'd just like to know. So after collecting the food in the local village, we're all on our way again, and yes, we're heading for the Mashami gate. Now at the Mashami gate, it's about 1,800 meters. When we arrive at the gate for registration, we're going to have a few hours to relax, because what I just want to explain to you is that today we have put our tents, our stoves, our food, you know, sleeping bags, gas, everything that you're going to require now for the next 7 days, we now have to distribute to the people on that we're going to be on the mountain. Now our head guides, like Freddie and myself, we go to the gate, we send in the registration. Then what happens is Freddie goes out and he picks the local porters. And it reminds me much of my grandfather long ago when he was, you know, on in the docks. There was casual workers every day, and they would go and they would pick them. So what we're going to do now is pick all the casual workers that are going to come with us. And I just want to give you an idea of the logistics that's involved here. For every one of us, there's going to be 4 staff, between porters, guides, cooks and assistants. So if we have 10 people on our expedition, that means we will have 50 people on an extended team moving through and around the whole mountain with us. It's a phenomenal experience to see. The team now will wait until all our porters and our guides are ready, and we dispatch our porters out ahead of us, so that in reality that they will be there before us when we get to camp, and that campsite will be set up. Today, on our first day, we're going to go through the rainforest, and lots of people will ask, like, you know, what kind of gear do we need in the rainforest? Do we need rain gear? Well, it's inevitable you do. You need your standard day pack, and again we will be going through this in our packing videos, and you need the standard type of stuff that you would use in Ireland or England in relation to going hill walking. The porters, as I said, are set off first, and then we move after that. While we're here at the Mashami camp, we usually get our final pictures taken. There's great excitement, as you can well imagine, before we go. And this slide just gives us a rough idea. It's approximately 80 kilometers to the summit. Every day is going to be on average to 6 to 7 hours, and the summit day is going to be approximately 14. So now that we've arrived at the Mashami gate, we're going to go from about 1,800 meters to 2,980 meters, or 3,000 meters, to Mashami camp. And now that's an increase of 1,180 meters. And by the way, you know, it's a fairly hard push on this day, but one of the most important things is that we go through and we start slow. And, you know, even with the slowest that we can go, it usually will take about 6 hours. But the other interesting thing is this, is that we will be going through, you know, the rainforest, and it's really, really spectacular. So here we are, ready to start. People always ask, as I said, what gear. So what I want you to do now is I want you to see the type of gear that the people are wearing as they go through the rainforest and the different temperatures that are available. I have seen it, you know, from 20 degrees, you know, not too moist, to 40 degrees and 100% humidity. So that's just going to give you some idea of the different temperatures and humidity that you will experience. So please observe from the slides the type of gear that they are wearing. We're going to go through our second ecosystem, and the second ecosystem is really nice. As you see here, we're starting off, you know, it's a wide track, and then it goes into a meandering, you know, a twisted rainforest before we exit, you know, in the moorland where our first campsite will be set up. So the main thing about today is to go slowly, pole. We go from the wide path onto a narrow path, the humidity rises. Now at times it may rain, but it will be humid. And then we make our way up through the lushness of the forest, and that will soon bring us out into a moorland type landscape. But the mosses and the vegetation here is really spectacular. As we now make our way, you know, approximately 5 or 6 hours before we break out of the rainforest, and then on a narrow ridge to our campsite for the evening. So here we are in the moorlands. You can see how it's, you know, the vegetation is coming down a bit. And now we've gone through the coffee and banana plantation, we've gone through the rainforest, and here we are at camp now, the Mashami camp, at about 3,000 meters. Now, as you can see, the tents when we arrive are already pitched. Our mess tent, our dining tent, our toilet tent, you know, is set up, so therefore we will get an experience of, you know, what it's like to use the latrine. Now at the moment we're still able to use chemical toilets, but they are trying to do away with them as they put in more and more toilets on the mountain, so that we won't, from an environmental impacts point of view, that we don't be bringing chemical toilets onto the mountain. Now what I want to say here, you're at 3,000 meters, and it's very, very important to ensure that you do not get altitude sickness, right? So all your gear is going to be packed and it's going to be laid on the floor. Each one of you will have a porter that's carrying your bag, so they will in turn, if you wish, to take it to your tent. But one of the most important things is that you keep your head straight. If you start doing this or that, like it will really knacker up your acclimatization. So when you're picking up anything, you just actually bend down slowly, pick up slowly, keep your focus ahead. It's like as if it's a case like seasick. Sometimes, by the way, seasick tablets actually work for altitude as well. So it's very, very important to to acclimatize properly. We don't want you to do anything that will actually spoil your acclimatization. But again, every day we'll be briefing. Every day, every night you will get a debriefing. So we'll be watching you full on. Now, what I like to do now is the selection of food. Usually for dinner, we usually have dinner at about 6:30. Just to give you the selection that we usually have, we usually use fresh soup. So fresh soup made daily. The main courses will be of fish, steak, pizza, pasta, rice, chips, tea, coffee, hot chocolate, bread, and fresh fruit for dessert. So we try to get to bed by about 8 o'clock. It's a long night, but we go to bed, by the sunset, and we get up by the sunrise. So hopefully everyone will have a good night's sleep. Again, in the morning we will have a briefing, and so usually we're up about 6:15. We usually have tea in bed, my staff will bring you tea in bed, and that's just so that you wake up and try to hydrate yourself as well to get going. So we have breakfast between 7:30 and 8:15, as you see here on the slide. We leave camp at 8:45, and we'll go for 3 to 4 hours trek before we have lunch. Now, for breakfast, what do we have usually? As you can see here, we have porridge, cornflakes, eggs, sausages, baking, tea, coffee, hot chocolate, toast, butter, jam, honey, and tomatoes. So therefore, it's up to you if you want anything else to ask. Now, one of the other very most important things that I've said to you earlier is hygiene. Hygiene is essential. Now that you're on expedition, we have to ensure that you wash your hands every day that you get to campsite. You will have hot water, you will have hygienic soaps, so that you can wash your hands and make sure everything. And each person's hygiene, it is their own responsibility, but also their responsibility, I've just taken into consideration that it can affect the rest of the team. Now, as we're going on the mountain, and I did talk about acclimatization, we go through the whole aspect of it about hydration, about drinking enough water. We will be watching you, but basically it's important you watch yourself. It's very, very important to eat, to keep your energy up. The psychology of the team at this stage is starting to build. And if you have any problems that you encounter, we will talk to you about the use of Diamox if you're not already using it as a prophylactic. But we will have debriefings and briefings every morning. So usually once we get outside the rainforest, we're going to go through the next stage. And here we can see our team now up early in the morning. And usually once we come out of the rainforest, we're up above the clouds. And our third day, the route now takes us from the Mashami camp, as you see here. And today it's going from 2,980 meters, as you see on the map, to 3,840. It looks a very short distance, but it's a long, narrow ridge line. And what I'm going to go through now is I'm going to show you some of the pictures that is available. So today we go along where our third ecosystem. We've gone through the coffee and banana plantation. We've gone up through the rainforest, and today now we're going to go through the moorland and the alpine meadow. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip some of the slides as we're walking on this spectacular narrow ridge. Temperatures today, just to let you know, usually is between 20 degrees plus and -1 degree, Celsius. As we make our way now from the Mashami camp to the Shira camp, we also have to be very careful today of ultraviolet light, because the ultraviolet light can really burn us, and that in turn can cause altitude sickness. As we're going through the alpine regions, the flowers and the fauna is really spectacular. As we're moving through this, it's day 4, and every day, by the way, is changing. As we're now moving in a landscape, we are traveling now on a narrow rocky path with some small sections of easy scrambling, of which you will see. Today the team will really get to the feel, of the hard work that our porters are putting in as they carry our gear with us. And it's the first type of scene that you will have, like where we're all working together, walking along this narrow ridge, making our way to Shira camp, passing these amazing flowers. And coming up today, this is probably one of the harder days, as we're trying to get walk on this narrow path, use some scrambling techniques. And here you could see our porters, right, carrying our gear. It's amazing to see them, carrying these loads of gears, like sometimes with their hands in their pocket, with the stuff on their heads. And usually we get to lunch after about 4 hours, where we take out the chairs, and usually for lunch it's a very good lunch. We usually have soup and a cold dish of pasta. Sometimes we have chips, rice, pizza, tea, coffee and hot chocolates. Well, this enables us to ensure that we get the proper nutrition into us to sustain our energy. And every day you will be totally and utterly surprised, with the way that the food is cooked and stuff like that. Just to let you know that in relation to calories, each of us will be burning between 4,500 calories and 600 calories a day. It's nearly like the ultimate diet. Now in the afternoon of day 4, when we're in the moorland, it's a long sweeping traverse as we cross terrain like this, easy scrambling, as you can see here. Most people absolutely love this type of stuff. All the times you will see our guides are in place to ensure if there's any danger like that you're held. You could see now, like whereas the early morning started quite beautiful, that in the afternoon sometimes the cloud can come down, the temperature can drop. As we make our way now across the sweeping traverse over to Shira camp, and all the time we're moving with the full caravan as we approach each campsite every night. Now here we can see Shira camp. It's at a height of 3,840 feet on the map, and today we're after rising approximately 840 meters to Shira camp. And here we are approaching. The terrain changes slightly. It's an open plateau, and at night it can get quite cold. I've seen it go down to -5 degrees Celsius depending on the weather condition. The camp is a wide open campsite. You can see all the other people actually camped here as well. As I said, our porters are after going ahead. All the bags are, will be at campsite before you. All the tents will be set up. While at the same time our cooks and our assistants have gone in before, so that when we get there, that we will have afternoon tea. And every day we're going to try to have an objective that we will try to achieve. In other words, from an acclimatization point of view, we will try to rise a small bit higher, so that it fools the psychology in our brain, that in other words we're at a higher point, we come down and our brain thinks we're still higher, and we sleep better. But here you can see the cooks now, like as they cook for the evening meal. And here we are at Shira camp, and every time we go to Shira we go a small bit higher, and as you can see we have a high point for the day. Shira camp is amazing. It's spectacular sunrises and sunsets, is some of the most spectacular I've ever seen. As you can see here, like looking up over Mera Peak, the orange kind of feel on the mountain of Kilimanjaro as you're looking back at it. And as I say, what I'm trying to get you to do is to look at each day that we're moving, the change in the gear. So here we can see now, like, we're in for dinner, the temperatures are dropping, you can see the hats are on, the gloves are on, the warm gear are on, and we're having dinner. And as I say, you know, the food is very, very good. Again, we'll talk about acclimatization here. We'll have a debriefing, see how people are getting on. Because the following day, as you will see now, is going to be the hardest day, because we're going to have to rise to 4,652 meters. And what we're going to do is we're going to move up, you know, onto the Bronco, like from Shira Camp to Lava Towers at 4,652. Try to fool the brain again, and then we'll descend to the Bronco Wall Camp. So here you can see now, as you see along the green line, we go high from on day 4 to Lava Towers, and then down onto the Bronco Wall, which we go camping for the night. So here we are now, walking along a new ecosystem. It is the lunar landscape, and this is amazing in itself. Like, if you just look here, you will see the caravan. This is our caravan of porters and ourselves and guides, all moving in this landscape that I can only say looks like we're in on the moon. And what's so spectacular about this is, like, you know, we've gone through the coffee and banana plantation, the rainforest, the moorlands. Now here we are in the lunar landscape, and you can see here where the path is easier today. You know, it's very easy trekking, but it's going to be going at high altitude. The height we'll be going today is equivalent to that of our final campsite before we go for the summit. Lava Towers in the distance. As you can see, it's a way easier walking than the day before. And when we reach Lava Towers, you know, lots of people will be affected by altitude, but we have to stay positive. All of our team will have good days and bad days. I just want you to accept the fact that, you know, there might be days you're up and there might be days you're down. But the whole thing is that we all move forward together with the attitude is that we can achieve, and the journey continues. Once we leave Lava Towers, we descend, and we're going to go to the Bronco Camp, which now means we've been at high altitude, and we get down to the Bronco Camp. And that's at about 3,950 meters. We're on day 5. Sometimes it can get very cold here. As you can see, the tents are up. It's important to have the gear, you know, that you're going to require to stay warm. And this includes the fact of your sleeping bag. Usually we would be using a minus 15 degree comfort sleeping bag. And it's very important that that's not an extreme comfort rating that you're looking at in your sleeping bag. But we will go through all of that with you again. So here we can see now, we're at day 5 and we're heading for day 6. And you can see we're going to head up over the Bronco Wall, and this is a spectacular scramble route. Now, we will be doing training sessions here in Ireland in relation to all of that, as you will see, you know, that we try to simulate the conditions. If it's a case you're just coming down for the day, we'll actually do something similar that's on the Bronco Wall. And as you can see, it's easy scrambling. Everywhere that there is any kind of large step, we will have one of our guides. But you can see all our porters, our gear, our gas stoves, our tents, our sleeping bags, our water buckets, everything moves with us as we make our way up over the spectacular scrambling section of the route, moving everybody together, porters, guides, team itself, moving all our gear. And just a little bit of caution here, because, you know, just in case you're thinking that all these are good shots, you can see here that it's very, very important to all the time to have the general gear, wet gear, that we have here in Ireland and England, to ensure that we have it in case that the bad weather does come in. But as I say, after coming across the Bronco Wall, every day has a high point, and here we're at the top of the Bronco Wall, and everyone is excited at the fact that it's another high point for the day. We're overlooking mainly, or mostly most days, you know, Mount Meru in the distance. And we usually will do something exciting, like, you know, either do a star jump, do a bit of exercise, just to celebrate the fact that we're here. Now, what I do love is The people I've been working with since 1995, and they're absolutely great sport. And as you can see here, Freddie and the team, they're always willing to participate with a bit of fun. Well, after getting to the top of the Bronco Wall, we have a nice easy trek, and now we're heading for the second last day camp, right, okay, at Karangu camp. And we're approximately at the same altitude, a little bit higher than the day before, but this is going to be a short day to get here, approximately 4 hours, 4.5 hours. And once we get there, we will rest. We will, in the afternoon, try to acclimatise a small bit by going a little bit higher and then coming back down again while we're preparing to go for our final campsite. And as you can see here, the next day we're going to be making our way towards the Barafu camp, and this is going to be, you can see that the summit is in sight at this stage. It's a short trek. On the following day, we're on day 7, and we're going to be making our way to the summit. So here we are again now today, crossing the lunar landscape. Everybody is excited. Some people won't even sleep. One of the most important aspects of it is that you do rest. If we have rest, it's everything. And here, as I can see, Freddie, cheering on the people, we're ready to go up through the lunar landscape. And we arrive here at the Barafu camp at about 1 o'clock. Now, we will have some lunch, and afternoon, there's a bit of scramble to start for the summit attempt when we're going that night. So we will do an acclimatization trek past, the scrambling section. So it does give us a better idea, of what it's like to go out in the dark. We come back at about 5 o'clock. We have dinner. And again, it's very important to eat up if we can. Some people at this stage are a bit nauseated and, a bit fearful of what's coming up ahead. But the whole thing is the team energizes everybody to come together. One of the most important aspects of going tonight is that everybody leaves at the same time. It can be very, very cold, and what I want you to do is just watch the type of gear that they have. It's very important that we have good mitts, good hats, good gloves, good socks, good boots for the attempt on the summit. So we usually get up about 11:30. We usually leave at about midnight, and we're on day 8. Before we go, we usually have tea and biscuits, and then we make our way now, from midnight, and we're going to head for Stella Point and hopefully see the sunrise over Kilimanjaro. Just on that, it's very, very important that everyone have head torches, spare batteries that we will need to keep going, through the night. It's terrible if it's a case you run out of batteries and your head torch isn't going great. It just gives you a greater fear of climbing in the dark. So as you can see here now, everyone is geared up properly. We move off, and it's going to be pole pole. Pole pole means slowly, slowly. Every 50 minutes we will rest for about 5 minutes. We will try to eat and rehydrate as we push our way through the night. And sometimes it can take 6 hours to get to Stella Point, sometimes 8 hours to get to Stella Point. But the whole thing is, our mentality is pole pole, slowly slow, keep pushing. As we go higher on the mountain, as you can see here, it's getting colder. People are, getting a little bit more tired. Everybody is just to rally behind each other so that we keep pushing each other. And as we're pushing our way through the night, it gets into, say, the breaking of dawn. As breaking of dawn comes, the weather, that's its worst actually. The temperature at at the breaking of dawn is the coldest that you can get. But all the time, we're urging each other on, pushing each other up, down jackets, full gloves, hats, everything on. And then about 6 o'clock in the morning, we see the sunrise over the African plains. And to see that, it's absolutely amazing as we're now approaching Stella Point, to see the whole African continent out in front of you and to see the sunrise over the African continent. And here we are now, we arrive at Stella Point. As you can see, lots of people are exhausted. We have come from the dark, we're now in the bright. Everyone's feelings raise as we get to Stella Point. We have a rest, rehydrate. If it's a case you have a headache or anything like that, we try to deal with that on the spot. And then we continue across the last final ridge, which is only about 50 meters by the way, but it'll still take an hour to get there. And as you can see here, Sometimes we will have snow, other times we won't. So it's going to be pole, 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 while we actually cross this amazing landscape as we look down into the crater floor below, which is holding the last of the glaciers of Kilimanjaro, which I think very soon will be gone. So the summit ridge now is about 100 meters ahead, and here we are with some groups that have reached the summit. And as long as I've been coming here, you know, the feeling you get by having people on the summit and they've achieved their Everest is always phenomenal for me. Whether it's one person going out on their own with us, or whether it's, you know, a group. I've had the privilege to marry someone on the summit of Kilimanjaro. We've renewed vows for people that, you know, wanted their vows renewed. We've been there with families that have, you know, decided just to go out as a family. We've been there with charity groups. And each time I go, I can honestly say it's an amazing feeling. I can also say like that, if it's a case that you do the training, and if it's a case you come down and do those weekends, nearly 100% of all people that we've had do those, and if they feel comfortable, will reach the summit. And mostly this is thanks to the unsung heroes, right, okay? It is my staff on the ground outside which have a great passion for having people on the summit. And as I say, we have all different types of groups, from people that get engaged to people that get married to renewal of vows. I've had an 80-year-old who had become the third oldest in the world to reach the summit as well in 2015. So it's amazing. But after reaching the summit, we have to descend. And the descent is a long descent because we have to pass out the Barafo camp and head down to the Moaki camp that night, or to Millennium camp. So here we are descending, everybody is in joy. We take a look around, we're crossing the ridge just above the crater, looking down onto the crater floor, and if you see here, it's really spectacular. Sometimes there is no snow on the crater, but like the glaciers you're looking at are about the last, you know, in existence. And then the long descent down to 2,800 meters. It's a descent of 9,240 feet. And when we get there, it's very sad, because those that were part of our family now for the last week are about to go home. So here we can see, you know, down at the Moaki camp, all the team are getting together, you know, saying their last farewell to the porters. Our guides will still be with us for the last day, but the porters will run out in front. As you can see, like, you're going to say goodbye to your toilet tent. Like, this is Freddie and his two sons, Godliving and Emmanuel. Like, we've known each other since 1995, and we've been working together now. His sons are in the business as well. And the final morning, we will have all the team get together, and we will do a final farewell song, like, of Kilimanjaro. It's absolutely amazing, you know, to hear all of the porters get together. You know, Kilimanjaro, Hakuna Matata. It's a beautiful song. And then if it's a case, we distribute the tips. If it's a case, what we do is we have guidance on the tips if it's a case you wish it. Tips are discretionary, but I think most people will give a tip, and in particular before they leave. So here we can see now, ready to go, head back to the Moaki Gate, and for celebrations. So our journey, once we get back, brings us back to Mushy, where all our main guides will get together. We usually have a party, and we, you know, intermingle, like, you know, with all of our guides, and the guides are absolutely amazing. Like, as I said, I've been working with them since 1995. Final presentation, some dancing, and then the following day, some people will head on their way after a bit of relaxation, you know, head back to Ireland, England, America, or wherever they're coming from in the world. And some people will stay on and go on a safari. This is something that you can add on if you wish. We usually go to Gorongora Crater, the crater of the rain god, for the Big Five, Lake Manyara and Tarangari, you know, for the elephants. You can get a chance sometimes to go and see some of the Maasai villages, which is very, very traditional. As I say, the wildlife is amazing, you know, on safari. We stay in 5-star hotels, and you do have a great time and a great way to relax. Or indeed, you could just head down to Zanzibar and enjoy Stone Town and do a bit of snorkeling, you know, off the coast, or go out in a dhow boat. But the whole thing here, you can either come home or do something spectacular like that. And the one thing I'd say about Zanzibar, and I've been there many times, you know, the sunsets are absolutely amazing. So that's the climb. It's an amazing climb. As I said, this is just a small snapshot. I hope that, you know, it gives you some sort of insight into what the climb is all about. I'm just going to talk a little bit about training if you want it now. We do have gear videos, and we do have altitude videos, and we do have a video that we won the Richard Harris Audience Award, right, okay, of 12 girls from the Women Club who were out there, you know, to show their battle against cancer and their friends' battle against cancer. Now that we've gone through the climb on Kilimanjaro, I just want to give you a small bit of advice on training and fitness that you may require. We run trips here in Kerry to do fitness assessment. You know, it's from the beginner to the most advanced, and no matter what type of an expedition you're doing, we will simulate it. Just to give, for an instance, if it's a case that you want to just see how you're going to fare out in a camp, we do campcraft weekends which simulate the conditions with mess tents, toilets outside and tents. We also simulate the conditions of what it's like to climb up over the Barranco Wall and the final day of the summit to go to Kilimanjaro. Now, usually nearly 100% of people that feel comfortable with this. So what we do is we do a day's climb on Carrantoul. We usually do it via a route that simulates the conditions on the Barranco Wall. Then we come back, we stay at the mountain lodge or one of the bed and breakfast, and then during the night we get up again and we trek through the night for 6 or 7 hours and have some spectacular landscape and sunrises and sunsets here in Kerry that simulates the conditions on the final nights of Kilimanjaro. We also run trips for our Forever Young Club. That's for between 50 and 90-year-olds, and in 2015 we had an 80-year-old on the summit of Kilimanjaro, which became the third oldest in the world to have done it. So with proper training, you know, it's possible for most people to achieve this. In relation to gear, it's very, very important. We do have videos online that you will be able to look at that will give you all the gear that you require. But once you sign on to one of our expeditions, you will get a gear list. You will be in contact with myself or Abina or one of my expedition leaders, and we will go through everything with you. And that's one of the most important things, you know, that I feel that we can give. We can give you the confidence to achieve your dream and your goal. So you might ask, why is it to go with Falvey? Well, first and foremost, I know, because I'm here, that we provide a world-class, first-class service. We are also there for you and your family because we have the base here in Ireland, Africa and on the mountain. We personally handle all individuals and groups, and we have a 7-day-a-week on call once we're on expeditions. Also, my guides are some of the best high-altitude mountaineers in the world and some of the most experienced guides in the different regions that we actually go to. I have been running trips myself since 1995, and my company is one of the most successful in doing so, not alone in Ireland or Europe, but throughout the world, running trips into the likes of Kilimanjaro, Machu Picchu, Elbrus, Mont Blanc, Everest Base Camp, and a number of other expeditions that we run. Now, our base here in Ireland is in an amazing place. It's a place I love. It's overlooking the lakes of Killarney in the Gap of Dunloe. It's where our main base is held. Our main office staff and our head office is here as well in Kerry. And our guides and our staff, who will be in communication with you as adventure consultants, have a vast amount of experience. And indeed for Africa, our office here will be in contact with the office in Africa, and in turn our office in Africa is in contact with the mountain, which in turn relates back. Now, we run 10 fully facilitated trips every year. I go on approximately 4 of them, and we also cater for independent groups that wish to climb Kilimanjaro with my team on the ground, whether it's a group, whether it's an individual or a couple, whether it's companies, charities or schools. or as I said, like, you know, if there's anything that you wish, like from a family point of view, we can organize that too. Well, I just want to go through the basic cost of the costings of it, just to give you some idea of what it is. The basic cost is €2,350. What does it include? It includes permits, hotels, guides and logistics, and the guides are some of the best in the world. The permit is also included. That's the permit for the mountain, which usually can cost up to $850. You have 3 nights secure hotel, you know, bed and breakfast in the cities themselves, and this is very, very important that it's a secure hotel. The bed and breakfast, you know, is usually very, very good, you know, in the hotel. If it's a case that the flights, you can have the basic land only cost, or we can book the flights for you. It usually costs between 1,000 and 1,600 quid, that's euros, depending on what time you go. If it's a case you decide to go on a safari, you can add those on. It usually works out, you know, at about €850 to have an amazing safari in 5-star hotels, or indeed go to Zanzibar, where you can chill out and actually put another couple of days on and really enjoy Africa in its fullest. Well, I do have to go because the webinar is over. I hope that this talk has helped you and gives you a better insight of what it takes to go climbing Kilimanjaro. We do run many walking holidays, treks, expeditions or training courses all around the world. So if you do wish to come with us on any of those, please do contact us. You can contact me direct at the office, or you can email info@falvey.com. If you have anything that you wish to find out, please do give us a ring, and I look forward to hearing from you. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sign off with a short video. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I look forward to hearing from you, and happy adventure.
Kilimanjaro, 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 mlima mrefu sana. Kilimanjaro, 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 mlima mrefu sana. Kilimanjaro, 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 mlima mrefu sana. Na mawenzi, na mawenzi, na mawenzi, na mawenzi, mlima mrefu sana. Na mawenzi, na mawenzi, na mawenzi, na mawenzi, mlima mrefu sana. Ewe nyoka, ewe nyoka, ewe nyoka, mbona wanizunguka? Ewe nyoka, ewe nyoka, ewe nyoka, mbona wanizunguka? Walizunguka, 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 wataka kunila nyama. Walizunguka, 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 wataka kunila nyama. Kunila nyama, kunila nyama, kunila nyama, mbona walizunguka? Kunila nyama, kunila nyama, kunila nyama, mbona walizunguka? Habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata, 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 hakuna matata,
tukienda na geti
hakuna matata.
jambo
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana.
wageni
Wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.
wageni wetu
hakuna matata.
Kutoka Airishi,
Hakuna matata.
jambo,
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana.